In this video, we will share an evaluation tool that can be used by any advocacy campaign. It's called the Spectrum of Allies Measure of Change. Every advocacy campaign has a goal and carries out tactical actions. A campaign goal is what you want to achieve. A campaign achieves this goal through tactical actions, which are simply the range of actions you take as a campaign. For example, a campaign seeks to amend a law, which is the goal, and they do this through lobbying, which is the tactical action. Another example, a campaign seeks to reduce stigma, the goal, through information sharing on social media, the tactical action. And lastly, a campaign seeks to build power in a local community. That's the goal. And they do this through workshops on community rights, the tactical action. We know that change happens with and through individuals, real people. So for a tactical action to be effective, it must be designed to impact the person or the people that influence the specific campaign issue. For that reason, assessing the success of a tactical action must start with how those specific people, who we refer to as targets, change their position on and behavior related to the campaign issue after a tactical action. This brings us to the advocacy evaluation tool featured in this video, the Spectrum of Allies Measure of Change. The goal of advocacy is to move a target closer to a campaign's own position and actions toward active and positive participation on the campaign issue. And we can use the Spectrum of Allies to assess changes in the position of advocacy targets before and after tactical actions in a campaign. Before a campaign action, a target can be placed in a segment of the Spectrum of Allies in relation to a specific campaign issue. These segments include an active ally. You can already count on the target to help you in your campaign issue. A passive ally. The target has some similar views on your campaign issue, but is not taking action. Neutral. The target does not know about the problem your advocacy initiative addresses, does not know about your campaign and your work, or has no particular investment in the problem. Passive opponent. The target has some interests that are opposed to your campaign issue, but they are not actively working against the issue. Active opponent. The target has an investment in opposing your campaign issue. To make this more concrete, let's use an example. Imagine we're part of an advocacy campaign seeking to conserve wetlands that prevent flooding in local communities and that have cultural significance to Indigenous communities in the area. We identify that the local council has decision-making power on land use in this community. So we treat each council person as a target related to our issues. We then identify one council person who has a powerful voice in the decision-making process on the council, who has incredible influence in the group. We decide they will be the primary target of our next tactical action. So we want to identify the current placement of the council person on the Spectrum of Allies. To do this, we need data or evidence for where this council person is on the Spectrum of Allies before our tactical actions. So we review the notes from council meetings and their social media account. This council person has not expressed opinions about wetlands in the local area. Before the campaign action, we place them on the Spectrum of Allies as neutral in relation to our campaign issue, conserving local wetlands. We can use what we learn about the target's initial position to design and refine a tactical action. In this case, we learn that the council person has strong and vocal opinions on supporting the local economy. This information helped us decide to take the tactical action to hold information sharing sessions with the City Council about preserving wetlands with the fact-based emphasis on how the wetlands prevent flooding in important commercial districts, flooding which could be devastating to the local economy. After the tactical action takes place, we want to evaluate the success of that tactic, specifically to learn the extent to which the target has moved on the Spectrum of Allies after our tactical action. In this case, the council person started as neutral, and then we held the economy-focused information session. And then we returned to the social media of the council person a few weeks after our information sharing session, and we learned that they posted a personal statement about how the environment impacts the economy, and they reshared two of our own campaign posts about the wetlands. As a campaign, and based on the evidence from the social media account, we decided that this moved the council person to a passive ally position, a really great success. This shows concretely and with evidence that the council person, an important target for our campaign issue, moved from neutral on our issue to a passive ally after our campaign action. This represents the concrete change in real people that are required for social change to happen. Using the spectrum of allies measure of change here not only shows the success of our tactical action, which is so important, but it also informs the next steps in our campaign, which in this case may be, with the passive support of this influential person, to start advancing some formal protections for the wetlands that need to be approved by this council. The Spectrum of Allies measure of change is a practical tool that you can use to show the impact of your campaign and as a resource to develop even more effective campaign strategies.